Welcome into another video. This time we're talking about my top 10 must-have players of 2023. Now, if you expect to win a championship this season, you need to have a handful of these players in your lineup to help set you apart from your league mates. You can get these guys anywhere between the mid to late rounds of your draft, a couple of them in the early parts, but most of them are mid to late rounds, and I'm telling you, you're gonna have a big advantage if you have them in here. Now let's start going over these guys. At number 10, we have Irv Smith Jr. Irv Smith has a rough career thus far. His journey has really been tarnished by injury, but now he's in a situation that he is destined to thrive in. Irv Smith has been picking up the Bengals offense rather quickly this offseason, and he's really starting to impress coach Zach Taylor. Smith is a better route runner than Hayden Hurst, which really bodes well for him. I mean, the Bengals offense is a potent offense, which used the tight end really well last season. I mean, Hayden Hurst had 52 receptions for 414 yards and 2 touchdowns. I can easily see Smith eclipse that mark in 2023. 60 receptions for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns is definitely not out of the realm of possibility, and he's going towards the end of your drafts. If you miss out on the opportunity to grab Kelsey, late round tight ends such as Irv Smith Jr. is the key to your success in 2023. Irv Smith has played in only 8 games in the past 2 seasons, so he does come at a high risk, but I believe that this big risk could come with a huge reward. With the injury to Irv Smith, the Vikings traded for TJ Hockenson just hours before the NFL trade deadline, which made Irv Smith irrelevant within this offense. Irv Smith only had 182 yards receiving in 2022. I felt like he never really received a fair shake as the go-to #1 tight end on the Vikings, even when he was healthy, but he will get just that with Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. I look for Irv Smith to make his name well known among the fantasy football community in 2023. Swoop him up this season before people start to understand the amazing situation he is in this season. You heard it here first, folks. Irv Smith Jr. is a must-have player in 2023. Now, coming in at number 9, we're going to talk about Jamir Gibbs. Gibbs was electrifying in college for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Last season in college, he ran for 151 times for 926 yards and 7 touchdowns, along with 44 receptions for 444 yards and 3 touchdowns. Gibbs gives them something they have been looking for in DeAndre Swift, a running back that can really just do it all out of the backfield and score on any given play. The biggest knock on Gibbs is that he's a 200-pound running back. Can he hold up to the everyday beating that running backs receive in the NFL? And that is the question. If he can stay healthy, Gibbs can be the featured running back in this offense. Even when sharing the workload with David Montgomery, the draft capital is just too large to think that would be any closer than a 60-40 type of split between these two backs. This offense has the firepower to make some noise in their division. With Aaron Rodgers now gone to the AFC, the Lions have a chance to take this division, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Gibbs as a top 15 running back for fantasy football in 2023. The sky is the limit for this guy. He is a rookie, and I am excited to see him play. With the expectation from fans and the mere raw ability that Gibbs has, makes him an intriguing option for your fantasy team. I'm swooping up Gibbs every chance I get, and that makes Gibbs one of my must-have players in 2023. On to number 8, as we talk about Trevor Lawrence. Lawrence is a massive candidate to crack the top 5 for fantasy quarterbacks in 2023. Finishing at number 8 was just too low for this quarterback last season. With the addition of Calvin Ridley to this offense, getting back Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, and Travis Etienne, and then with also drafting Tank Bigsby, this looks like an offense ready to fire on all cylinders. In 2022, Trevor Lawrence finished within the top 12 quarterbacks 58.8% of his games, which landed him at the 9th best amongst quarterbacks, and that should easily be better in 2023. Lawrence continues to find ways to improve year after year from college to the NFL. He has a strong pedigree of success throughout his entire life, and the NFL is no exception. He just has way too many offensive weapons to be a bust this season. I think Lawrence is a for sure set it and forget it type of quarterback and could be quite fun this season, especially if you're able to stack him with one or two of his weapons. Now in year 2 of Doug Peterson's offense, I look for Lawrence to improve off of his 4,100 yards and 25 touchdowns that he had last season and show everyone in the NFL that he needs his name up there with the Mahomes and the Allens and the Hurts. Take my advice and let Lawrence carry you to the promised land this season and take him as I place him on my must-have players list for 2023. Coming in at number 7, we have Damien Pierce. Now this guy has me excited. In 2022, he averaged 16.9 carries a game, and that for sure should increase to around that 20 carries a game mark this season. I'm not scared one bit about Devin Singletary being added to this backfield. Singletary to me is that change of pace type of guy who should not cut into much of Pierce's workload in 2023. Pierce is a hard-nosed runner who always is looking to run someone over. He gives me a baby Derrick Henry type of vibe for sure. I believe that the combination of a rookie quarterback in CJ Stroud and a rookie defensive-minded head coach in DeMeco Ryans, Pierce should be leaned on quite heavily in 2023, I would say pretty early and pretty often. If it wasn't for the injuries, Pierce would have easily hit that 1,000 rushing yard mark last season. Look, I mean, for Pierce to try to make a name for himself this season and clear 1,000 yards, he's gonna do it with ease. This offense is only getting better and better, and as it gets better, the better quality of opportunities that will arise for Pierce. Pierce is another one of those exciting players to watch if he's on your fantasy team. Part of the journey of fantasy football is to have fun, and when you're starting a running back that's trucking defenders like Pierce, you're sure to have a good time. I see Pierce as a worst case scenario top 15 running back. Combine that with his ADP, and he's a for sure must-have player on my list for 2023. Now landing at number 6, I have Chris Godwin. I can see a world without Tom Brady that Godwin actually continues to thrive. 3 out of the last 4 seasons, Godwin has went over the 1,000 yard mark, and I believe that trend continues in 2023. Baker Mayfield should start the season as the quarterback, and even if we do see a switch to Kyle Trask, I think Godwin will still have plenty of opportunities for that underneath type of work. While most will be zigging on Mike Evans, I'm going to be zagging with Chris Godwin. I have Mike Evans not even achieving 1,000 yards receiving for the first time in his career in 2023, partially because of the quarterback play, but also because of the emergence that we're going to see out of Godwin as he transitions as the #1 wide receiver for this offense. The team as a whole will not be as competitive as they were with Tom Brady at the helm, which means more negative game scripts. Needing to throw the ball more means more opportunities for Godwin. He excels in the dink and dunk game, and that is what Mayfield will do week in and week out. We should also see Godwin with over 100 receptions in 2023. And those dink and dunks are going to turn into production like I would say 8 to 11 receptions for 80 yards or so and a touchdown in most weeks. But even in that scenario, I mean, that's going to be 130 plus receptions for 13 plus 100 yards. I mean, that's amazing. You know, 60% of the time last season, Godwin played in the slot. This season, he's expected to get more work as an outside receiver, which only it plays into his strength even more. A ton of short yardage with a couple of big plays mixed in equals success in my book. The short yardage receptions can work well in fantasy football, and that makes Chris Godwin a must-have player for me in 2023. Moving along to number 5, we're going over Justin Herbert. Herbert will be participating in OTAs, and he's going to be ready for the beginning of the season following the labral surgery that he had this offseason. Herbert has a loaded offense in 2023 with the addition of rookie Quentin Johnston. Herbert has 2 monster wide receivers on the outside of Williams and Johnston, and a shifty wide receiver in Kenny Allen, not to forget about Austin Eckler in the backfield and Gerald Everett at tight end. We saw a regression of the 30-plus touchdowns he threw for in his first 2 seasons, as he only had 25 in 2022, but we can put that on the health of his wide receivers and having a labrum issue. With everyone back healthy, including his shoulder, Herbert will once again be a top option at the quarterback position in 2023. This offense has looked potent from the very beginning as soon as Herbert took the field in 2020. You can grab Herbert this season at pretty good value as the 6th quarterback off the board in most drafts. I'm only seeing Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, Burrow, and Lamar Jackson being taken ahead of him. He has the talent to be a top 3 quarterback this year, and I wouldn't bat an eye at that. With the crazy upside that Herbert has, he is easily a must-have player in 2023. Now at number 4, I'm talking about Nick Chubb. To think that a bell cow running back who ran for over 1,500 yards last season could actually receive a bump in production in 2023, and that's what you have with Nick Chubb. Kareem Hunt is no longer with the team, and the only other running back that will be working in with Chubb is Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford should be able to give Chubb a breather from time to time, but he has less snaps than Chubb, Kareem Hunt, Demetric Felton, and Dearness Johnson in 2022. You see, the point that I'm trying to make here is that Chubb should be an absolute fantasy point monster this season, and you should be running to draft him. He is not only going to be running for 20 plus carries a game, but he should also be leading pass catcher as well for this offense. While many may think that Jerome Ford will eat up Kareem Hunt's workload, I say not so fast, cowboy. I mean, Nick Chubb will absorb that workload in my opinion. Also, the Browns have a solid defense alongside a quarterback in Deshaun Watson who should be much improved after last season, which puts Chubb in a lot of positive game scripts. See, more positive game scripts equals more opportunity. More opportunity means more fantasy production, and more fantasy production equals a must-have player in 2023. Now on to number 3, I have Greg Dulcich. Now, I can't express enough what the impact that Sean Payton will have on this young tight end. Can you say shades of Jimmy Graham? Now, before you flame me down in the comments, just hear me out for a second. You know, Dulcich is a young, athletic tight end that can line up in the slot and beat defenders down the field, just like Jimmy Graham did. The biggest thing holding Dulcich back will be the quarterback play, and I believe Sean Payton can turn Russell Wilson's game around for the better. Russell Wilson didn't really have his head on his shoulders, in my opinion, when he came to Denver. He was used to having so much success that when he switched teams, I'm not sure Wilson knew how to handle himself. Even with Wilson's struggles, Dulcich showed flashes of what he could be in the future. With weapons such as Judy and Sutton on the field, it looks like either a nickelback or an outside linebacker is going to have to guard Dulcich. He's too big for a nickelback, and he's too fast for a linebacker. He's a mismatch nightmare, and if all the pieces just come together, we can be looking at a new top 10 tight end who can practically, you can get him for free in drafts right now. Do yourself a favor and take a chance on Dulcich. He reminds me of another tight end that no one knew about for Denver named Julius Thomas. And just like Thomas becoming a household name, the same will hold true for Dulcich. Sit back and watch these fireworks with this tight end, as I have to name him a must-have player for 2023. Now at the number 2 spot, we're looking at Chris Olave. I'm absolutely loving the upgrade at quarterback for Olave. Many may disagree with that, but I do believe that Carr is a clear upgrade over Winston and Dalton. While Carr isn't a top 10 quarterback by any stretch of the imagination, I still believe that he has what it takes to produce a massive number 1 wide receiver. Just look at what he did for Devontae Adams last season with the Raiders. See, Chris Olave also gets some help as far as weapons go. Michael Thomas should be back on the opposite side. Alvin Kamara should be back sometime later on in the season. Now that his court stuff is over with, this offense has the potential to be potent in 2023. Olave shown amazing flashes in 2022, even with mediocre quarterback play. I cannot wait to see the smooth routes of Olave producing some solid fantasy production. Olave has the skill set to be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, up there with Jefferson, Chase, Brown, Kupp, Hill, Lamb, and Garrett Wilson. Chris Olave has shown the ability to be a deep threat as well as a crisp route runner to get you those easy points. Carr should be laser focused on pushing the ball to Olave. Jump on this wide receiver in the 2nd round and be glad you did all the way to a fantasy championship. This was one of my easiest selections of my must-have players in 2023. And at that number 1 position, I have none other than Alexander Madison. People are absolutely sleeping on the monstrosity of an opportunity that was handed to Madison this season. Dalvin Cook averaged 17.6 carries per game as the starting running back for the Vikings. Madison will be absorbing all of that. Now, in Madison's 4-year career, he carried the ball more than 17 times in a game, 5 times. Let me just tell you what those results were. In 2020, week 5, he had 20 carries for 112 yards. In week 17, he had 21 carries for 95 yards and a touchdown. Moving along to 2021, in week 3, 26 carries for 112 yards, week 5, 25 carries for 113 yards, and week 13, 22 carries for 90 yards and a touchdown. That's an average of 4.6 yards per carry in those 5 weeks. So you can see that when given the opportunity, Madison has rose to the occasion each and every time. Madison is by far and away my number 1 must-have player in 2023, and it isn't even close. I did a video that broke down Madison and what the release of Dalvin Cook has done for his fantasy value, and I'll leave that in the link in the description below so that you can go check that out. Madison will be drafted in the 1st round in leagues come next year, mark my words. Grab Madison now before people realize the talent level that this guy possesses. As always, thank you for watching the video. If you guys want to leave some comments down below, what do you agree with? What do you don't agree with? And I always like a like on the video, really helps out with the algorithm. Guys, we have videos that are going to be popping out week in and week out, 2 to 3 videos every single week leading you up into the season and then throughout the season. And again, we're starting off in the off season next season, so this doesn't stop this channel. We are continuing to grow, and ultimately I want to help you guys win as many championships as possible to help you be the dominant fantasy owner that you are. I can't wait to see you guys on the next video. We'll see you guys next time.